Are you a grandparent taking care of your grandchild, and do you have one of these situations? Your grandchild's parents are out of town for a few days, perhaps are ill with the flu, perhaps they're gone for a bit longer. Maybe they're deployed in the military, or they're incarcerated, or they have been assigned to work in another state for a few months. Do you have a child who can't take care of his or her children because of drug issues or other health problems? I'm going to touch on each of those today and also talk about different legal options for you to obtain authority to take care of your grandchild when that's needed. Hi, I'm Ted Kern. I'm an attorney in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've been asked by grandparents as parents to provide some information today about how to get legal authority for a grandparent to take care of a grandchild. There are 4 different things I'm going to talk about today. One is a power of attorney. The second one is a similar document called a power of attorney for care of a minor child. The third one is legal custody documents that you get through a juvenile court. And the last one, which I'll just very briefly mention, is called a guardianship order, which is also obtained from a court. Grandparents as parents gets calls from clients from time to time asking about whether they need authority to take care of a child. And there are several different situations I can talk about that might help to explain that. For example, you're taking care of a grandchild because the parents temporarily can't. One of them may be sick, one of them may be out of town for a couple of weeks at work. One of them might be injured. While your grandchildren are with you, you're expecting that the situation is going to change soon. The parents are going to be able to resume taking care of custody. And while you have your grandchildren with you, the parents are available to make decisions about medical care if that's needed. And you don't need to become involved in their school programs. You don't need to enroll them or go to teacher-parent meetings or anything like that. In this kind of situation, you probably don't need any legal authority at all. If one of your grandchildren needs medical care, call the parent. The parent can provide whatever kind of authority or consent for care is needed. If something comes up at school, call the parent, and the parent can take care of it. And when that person has recovered or is back home, the grandchildren go home. Second situation that I'm going to talk about is similar, but let's say that it's going to last a bit longer. Maybe one of the parents is deployed in the military and is going to be gone for several months. Maybe they've been reassigned to a work assignment in another state or even in another country for a few months. In these kinds of situations, you may need to provide consent for medical care when you can't reach the parent. Or you may need to enroll your grandchild temporarily in school. Or you may want to go to school activities or parent-teacher conferences or things like that. In this kind of situation, there's a document that you can use called a power of attorney. It is really just a paper that is written out by the parent. It can be typed or it can be written by hand as long as it's legible. It should specifically state what kind of authority the parent is giving you. So it should say, I authorize grandparent to enroll grandchild in school. I authorize grandparent to take grandchild to so-and-so doctor and provide any consent that's necessary for medical care or dental care or whatever it is. It should be notarized. It does not have to be approved by a court. It would be wise, if you use this kind of document, to have it reviewed by an attorney just to make sure that it is specific enough to cover the kinds of situations that might come up. It is revocable by the parent at any time. In some situations, a simple power of attorney may not be enough, and in that case, the next document is a power of attorney for care of a minor child. It is done on a form that is provided by the Tennessee Department of Children's Services, and there will be a website attached to this video that you can, where you can find the form and download it. It does not have to be approved by a court, but it can be. It has to be filled out specifically according to the directions for the form. It has to be signed by both parents if they have legal custody of the child, by the parent that has legal custody if only one of them has legal custody, and if one parent objects to the power of attorney, there has to be a specific statement about why the parent granting it is doing so and why the parent who doesn't want to give consent on the power of attorney is refusing to do so. The power of attorney for care of a minor child should be accepted by any medical provider and by any school district in the state of Tennessee. If necessary, an attorney can take that document to a juvenile court and have it approved by a judge or magistrate. It then carries the authority of a court order, and it will be honored by anybody that receives it. The next situation I want to talk about is more complicated, and it's the case where you may need to get a court order for custody of your grandchild. In this situation, let's assume that your grandchild is not safe in the care of his or her parents, and you've taken your grandchild in for that reason. Or it could be that one of the parents or both of the parents are in jail, or that they've run off and you don't know where they are. They're not available to provide for consent to medical care. They're not able to or willing to consent to school issues. And you need authority to be able to act as though you were your grandchild's parent, because the true parent either isn't doing it or won't do it. In this kind of situation, you need to go to the juvenile court and file for a petition for custody. In a custody petition, you need to be able to prove that your grandchild is dependent or neglected in the care of his or her parents. You can file a petition and you can ask for an emergency custody order if that's needed. If a court grants you an emergency custody order, you will have immediate court-ordered legal authority to take care of your grandchild, but there will be a hearing in the court within just a few days to determine whether that should continue. If you don't ask for emergency custody, your petition will get served on the parents, and there will be a court hearing to decide whether the petition should be granted, and it may be several months before that hearing occurs. If you decide that you need to get legal custody of your grandchild, or if you think you need to get legal custody of your grandchild, talk with an attorney. The biggest difference between a power of attorney and a court custody order is that with a power of attorney, whether it is granted informally by the parent or if it's granted through the more formal power of attorney for care of a minor child, the parent has the ability to withdraw consent at any time simply by doing what's called a revocation. And once the power of attorney is revoked, the parent resumes full custodial care of their child. The parent never actually gave up custody. With a juvenile court custody order, the parent actually loses legal authority to take care of their child. That authority is granted to the grandparent by the court, and the only way that the parent can get it back is to have the court authorize that it be returned to them. The last thing I want to mention just very briefly is a guardianship order. Guardianships are more permanent than custody orders. Typically, they are granted in situations where one or both of the parents is deceased, or where one or both of the parents has a medical condition or a disability that makes it impossible for them to take care of their child, and where there is no expectation that that condition is ever going to improve or that they're ever going to be able to get legal custody back. Guardianship orders are usually not used in situations where grandparents are asking for custody, except in the more extreme ones where the grandparent is really expecting to be a caretaker for the remainder of the child's minority. And if you have more questions, please call Grandparents as Parents in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we will be happy to try to help you if we can, or to refer you to somebody who's able.